The Wakhan Corridor is a narrow strip of land squeezed between Tajikistan, China, and Pakistan, a wild remote corner of Afghanistan where three great mountain ranges, the Hindu Kush, the Greater Pamir, and the Karakoram, meet in a spectacular tangle of peaks. In the winter of 2008, I walked for 6 days through cold and snow to reach a Kyrgyz nomad camp high in the Little Pamir. When I arrived at the camp, I entered a low, dimly lit mud hut to greet Abdul Rashid Khan, the leader of the Little Pamir Kyrgyz. He warmly welcomed me and said, "Before you were my friend, but now that you have come back, you are my sister."
Over the course of 4 assignments for the New York Times and the New Yorker, I photographed everything from heroin addicts in the streets of Kabul's Old City to Colombian counter-narcotics teams training Afghan police, and finally into the fields on 2 different eradication missions, one of which was with Dying Corps mercenaries who were overseeing eradication in the most dangerous conditions possible. My experience in Oruzgan province was especially notable because of a 4-hour firefight that ended any of my ambitions to be a war photographer. On assignment for The New Yorker with veteran reporter John Lee Anderson, we were ambushed by the Taliban and separated from the Americans. Many of the photos in this portfolio document our time with 3 Afghan army officers and a Taliban prisoner as we attempted to escape. I saw on one side the honest attempt to rid the country of its opium and to impose the rule of law, and on the other side I saw corrupt politicians and police making sure that the fields of the powerful went untouched, while family plots were cut down by an army of men with broomsticks. The experience was a tragic comedy, full of errors and absurdity, and ultimately, death. The Afghan drug war has failed.
George Orwell once said, "We sleep safe in our beds because rough men stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm." In 2007 to 2008, I followed the deployment of a group of US soldiers stationed in the remote Korangal Valley in northeastern Afghanistan. I ended up spending between 4 and 5 months living with the men of 2nd Platoon, Battle Company of the 173rd Airborne Combat Brigade. I had no sense when I first came to the valley that it was fast becoming an epicenter of fierce fighting against Islamic insurgents. But during 2007, nearly 18% of all fighting in Afghanistan took place in this 6-mile-long valley. Despite no running water or electricity, slowly they made Restrepo their home. They slept out in the open on army cots behind rock bag emplacements and shared the very real fear that they might be overrun in the night. During my time with them, 70% of the platoon was taking some kind of mood-enhancing or sleep-affecting medication. When winter came, they built basic plywood huts and had a small generator dropped by helicopter. There was no road up to the outpost. Cut off and in an extreme situation, these men welcomed me into their lives. I worked, ate, and slept among them, slowly gaining their trust and access to their lives. These images are a result of that intimacy.
In late 2001, I was one of the hundreds of young photographers that came to Afghanistan for the first time to photograph my first war. I was naive, a little reckless, and mostly unprepared. At the time, the Taliban ruled most of the country. The Afghanistan I know is a land of clashing contrast, of raw beauty. Its landscape scarred by centuries of wars, fought against foreign armies and with itself. Still, I continue to find myself drawn to this remarkable place and its people, to their unmatched sense of pride on being Afghan, and the hint of dignity and spirit that I find in most of the people I meet here, determined to carry on, however battered their experience.